All right, today we're going to talk about a strategy for acing your exams that's so much more than just last-minute cramming. We're going to dive deep into the Feynman technique, but not as some quick trick. Think of it as a complete strategic journey.
But first, let's start with a question that, probably keeps a lot of you up at night. Why is it that so many incredibly hardworking students who put in all the hours, still struggle with huge competitive exams like the JEE or NEET? And here's the core of it, which is actually kind of a relief. Most students fail not because they aren't trying hard enough. The effort you're putting in, it's real, but it might just be pointed in the wrong direction. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. The typical path, the wrong way, is to memorize formulas and then just reread your notes over and over. But the right way, the Feynman way, is all about understanding first and then revising your actual thinking. It's a total game changer of a shift. So, let's break this journey down. We're going to start with Phase 1, building a solid base. This is for those all-important first few months of your prep, right back in Class 11. From day one, the biggest change you need to make has nothing to do with what you study, but how you think about it. You've got to stop saying, okay, I finished the chapter. Instead, your new goal, your new standard has to be, I can explain this entire chapter without looking at the book. That is the absolute foundation for real success. Okay, so how do you actually do it? Well, the technique itself is beautifully simple. Let's walk through the 4 steps. First, just learn one small concept at a time. Seriously, just one. Second, try to explain it in really simple terms, like you're talking to a little kid. Third, and this is pure gold, you'll notice where you get stuck. These are your thinking gaps. And finally, you go back to your book only to fill in those specific gaps. That's it.
Let's make this super clear with an example. Acceleration. The bad explanation is that textbook definition we've all memorized. Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. But the Feynman-level explanation gets to the real meaning. It tells us how fast an object's speed or direction is changing. See the difference? One is just reciting words, the other is true understanding.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds slow. And yeah, you'll probably cover fewer chapters than your friends at first, but the result is a foundation that is absolutely rock solid. You're building your skyscraper on bedrock, while they might be building on sand. And that means later on you'll have zero fear of new or difficult topics. Now, let's see how that amazing foundation carries us into Phase 2, moving from just having clarity to actually applying your knowledge. This is when things get intense, usually from the end of Class 11 through the middle of Class 12.
And listen up, because this is the danger zone. This is the exact point where most students start to panic. The syllabus gets huge, and they give up on deep learning and just fall back into mindlessly memorizing everything. Let me be clear, that is a massive mistake.
So instead of quitting the technique, you evolve it. The first advanced tool is what I call the why before formula rule. It's simple. Before you even write down an equation, you force yourself to explain why it even exists. What does it actually mean in the real world? This is how you stop just plugging in numbers and start really solving problems. Here's another one that sounds a little strange, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful. Find an empty room and say out loud, okay, today I am teaching thermodynamics. And then just do it with 0 notes. Every time you pause, every time you hesitate, bam, that's what you need to revise. You're basically testing your own knowledge in real time. We all know how important test series are. But what if I told you there's something even more valuable for finding out where you're truly weak?
Yep, it's called a Feynman error book. Now, this is not just a list of questions you got wrong. This is a log of all the concepts you thought you knew, but when you tried to explain them, you couldn't. It tracks the flaws in your understanding, which is way more powerful.
All right, let's bring it home. We're entering Phase 3, the final sprint. This is all about what you do in those last 2 or 3 months right before the exam. The goal here changes completely. You're not trying to learn a bunch of new stuff anymore. The entire mission now is to compress all that deep knowledge you built into something fast, accessible, and ready for exam pressure.
So how does the technique evolve for this final stage? First, you create ultra-short explanations. Can you take a 3-sentence explanation and boil it down to just one perfect sentence? Second, you do daily rapid teaching sprints, just 2 minutes per topic, out loud. And finally, when you review your mock tests, you ask that key question: why did my way of thinking fail on this problem?
And the payoff for all this work? It's what happens inside the exam hall. You'll feel less panic and a lot more confidence. You'll be able to eliminate wrong answers way faster. You'll actually be able to handle those weird, twisted questions they love to throw at you. Your confidence will come from real understanding, not from just getting lucky.
So let's wrap this all up with what is, without a doubt, the most important part, the mindset that wins. And I'm going to be brutally honest here, just like the source material is.
First, you have to accept this. This method will feel slow at the beginning. It's going to feel like you're falling behind everyone else.
Second, it's going to make you uncomfortable. It's really hard to constantly search for the edges of your own knowledge and admit what you don't know.
But that is the entire point. It exposes your weak spots early on when the stakes are low and you actually have time to fix them.
And that leads to the single most important lesson in all of this. For high-stakes exams like JEE and NEET, the formula is shockingly simple. Early pain prevents late failure. That discomfort you feel when you're truly learning, that's the price of admission to the top.
So, after all this, the question isn't whether the technique works. We know it does. The real question is, for you, are you ready to stop the endless cycle of memorizing and finally truly start understanding?